Hey guys, I want to talk with you a little bit today about manipulation in life. This is such a big learning curve, I think, that none of us probably perfect our entire time on the earth here, but there's some big things that I've noticed over the course of my life and I want to share and communicate with you. And this is kind of a way to, if you want to say safeguard yourself, but to always try to have the ability to see through people's actions and words and make a sound determination on what you should do based on the knowing of this and the ability for you to identify when you're being manipulated and what manipulation looks like and all these sorts of things. You'll be so much better off and so much more of a powerful person that is able to, like I said, analyze things in a better fashion and probably make better decisions in your life and conduct yourself in a better manner. So let's break into this. So the kind of the funny, wording of the post there, the manipulation detector, I submit to you that your manipulation detector is quite simply your brain. And that might sound really simple and silly and kind of funny, but I want you to stop and think about this, right? Our brains are very good at thinking rationally, right? Logically, mathematically almost, systematically, whatever you want to say. A very sharp contrast to that is our hearts. And a lot of times we feel with our emotions and we act emotionally and we do different sorts of analysis when we look at things, like we say, with our hearts versus when we're able to pull away from those heartstrings and those heart feelings and all this kind of stuff and use our brains and act rationally. Now, this is the biggest piece that I submit to you today, and the thing that I want you to remember is learning how to spot manipulation a mile away. And what that is, when somebody's trying to manipulate you, they are trying to incite emotion within you. So they're trying to get your heart in a flurry or get some sort of reaction out of your heart, get you to feel a certain way about something. That's the line in the sand. That's what you need to think about when you're in a situation. It could be all sorts of different things. And I'm going to paint a few examples of this for you, of the way that I think of them, or good examples I've seen in my life. That will hopefully explain this a little bit more. But like I said, if somebody's trying to get you to do something for them, it doesn't always have to be malicious, but most of the time I think when somebody is trying to manipulate you, it's for their benefit mostly, and maybe not for yours, and there's a reason why they're trying to manipulate you and trying to, like we said, incite emotion within you, is to try to get you to direct you down a certain path or to get you to do something. So they do this in a number of ways. They could create anger within you. They could create guilt within you. They could create depression, sadness, all sorts of different things that people are able to do to tug on your heart, as we say. And just to put it out there again, this is what I'm talking about. When people communicate with you, either in their words, in their writing, even in their actions, just ask yourself the question, like take a step back and say, are they trying to incite an emotion with what they're doing or saying here? Or are they just dealing in a black and white, almost like think of it like a business sense, like a yes or no, sort of regard, if you will. And that is your biggest cue. If you can look at somebody's actions and ascertain whether or not they're trying to incite an emotion in you, that's manipulation right there, in my mind. That's somebody who's trying to manipulate you. Now, let me give you a couple real-world examples. Just over the weekend, I had a coworker that went through a situation at work. This is a very interesting thing to me. He was sick. He got sick on Christmas Eve, right? And he called out sick from his job. So he was out actually Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Very unopportunistic sort of thing to happen. But the reaction that he got from one of the managers at work was very negative, and it was like this scathing email that was just like, yeah, like I hope you're feeling better, I hope you're okay, but at the same time, like I'm really disappointed in you, and you're really letting down your team, and you're really, on and on and on, like very clearly with what I was just talking about, trying to make the guy feel bad. Now, in this situation, did he do something that the manager thought was maybe disingenuous or maybe, whatever? Possibly. That was their rationale maybe about the situation. But the nuts and bolts, the actual reality of what he did there's nothing illegal about calling in sick on a holiday. There's nothing even in our working contract that restricts you from that. And above and beyond all else, I mean, if he really was legitimately sick and should not be going into work, then what does it matter that it's a holiday? It's just, yes, like I said, it's unopportunistic, but it gets away from that black and white, is there a policy being broken here? Is there any actual technical wrongdoing here to, I'm not happy with what you did, I'm going to try to incite an emotion within you, and I'm going to try to manipulate you into not doing that again, or to discourage you from doing that again. And that's got problems of its own. I think life can get pretty messy and bad when you're forcing people to do things that they might not otherwise do. It can put them and others around them in an unsafe situation as a result of that manipulation. But that just encapsulates one small example that I wanted to share with you, right? So a clear-cut case of, like I said before, you could step back and look at that and say, hey, this manager was trying to incite emotion within me, and therefore this is a manipulation tactic, plain and simple. Another example, great one. I spent some time around my family this holiday, of course. It was a good time, but my niece, she's a little girl. I love her to death. She's fantastic. But even at this very young age, and I don't even think she realizes exactly what she's doing quite yet, but there was an instance where I think she wanted to do something at the dinner table, or she wanted more attention focused on her or something. Whatever was going on in her mind, she wasn't getting that. So she went to this, like, well, I'm just going to start pouting, and I'm going to make this like sour face, or this like sad face, actually, quite literally. And she's learned somehow already at a very young age, she's only 3 years old, that if I make this face, I can get a reaction out of people. I can get them to feel bad for me. I can get them to basically get them to do what I want them to do by using this tactic of making them feel guilty for not letting me do what I wanted to do, or this face here makes them feel bad for me for whatever reason, like I'm hurting, and you need to make me feel better. And once again, a very clear-cut example of somebody trying to incite emotions within you, right? This goes above and beyond the yes or no, I can do this or I can't do this, you've told me no, okay, let's move on with life kind of thing, into, well, let's try to manipulate this because I'm still not getting what I want, and I'm going to try to incite those emotions within your heart and direct the situation onto a different trackway. And the funny thing about my little niece there is, yes, she's a young person, she's not an adult yet, but the sad reality is that many adults will resort to these sorts of tactics. And the examples could go on and on, about these little types of stories and places in our lives where we could see and spot and identify manipulation. I'm sure you could think up a few in your own life, but I want to arm you with this knowledge as you move forward. You'll be so much better of a person in just the way that you're able to operate in this world if you're able to pick out this sort of behavior and identify when somebody's trying to manipulate you. So to recap all of this, like I said, you need to analyze people's words, actions, their facial expressions, all this sort of stuff, and just ask yourself very simply this question: are they trying to incite an emotion within me? If the answer to that is yes, that's manipulation right there. They're trying to manipulate. And from there, hopefully you can use your brain and think about, well, why are they trying to manipulate me? Is this right? Is this wrong? What should I do With this new knowledge, by the way, that, okay, if they are trying to manipulate you, that's kind of a red flag as to their behavior, as to their intentions, as to, whatever way you want to look at this. And of course, like, every situation is going to be different. But I don't really know that I could even think of some good examples off the top of my head when people manipulate folks for good reasons. Maybe there's some that I'm not thinking about here, but I honestly can't come up with any in this moment in time. So just remember that one as you go through life. Hope this helps you. Have a great day. We'll talk again real soon.